محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. عن فاطمة الزهراء عليها السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنه قال دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليكم السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعوذ بك الله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتي بالكساء اليمان فغطيني بي فتأيته بالكساء اليمان فغيته فصرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجد لعله كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكمالي. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وسمت فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولد الحسين قد أقبل فقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه. السلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء؟ فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافي أمتي قد أذنت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن أمي رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو ما ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي نحو الكساء فقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء فقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بسعتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله بطرف الكساء وأومأ بيده اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمهم ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلما لمن سالمهم وعدوا لمن عاداهم وحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سماء مبنيا ولا أرضا مدهيا ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء فقال آمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا فقال اللهم نعم قد أذنت لك فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرضا مدهية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئا ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تزعلنوا لي يا رسول الله فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله إنهم لم قد أذنت لك فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا اللهم صل على فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله تبارك وتعالى النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني برسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا فيما في من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ما نزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفتهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا فقال علي عليه السلام إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا رب الكعبة فقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا فيما في من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله حمه، ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه، ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي إذا والله فزنا وسئدنا، وكذلك الشيعة نفاس وسيد في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الفاتحة.
بن کے سائل لائے ہیں در پہ تمہارے یا حسین، آج پورے کیجیے ارمان ہمارے یا حسین. سب مل کے بن کے سائل لائے ہیں در پہ تمہارے یا حسین، آج پورے کیجیے ارمان ہمارے یا حسین. فاطمہ کے لخت دل مشکل خوشا کے نور عین، فاطمہ کے لخت دل مشکل خوشا کے نور عین، ہو رسول اللہ کے آنکھوں کے تارے یا حسین، بن کے سائل لائے ہیں. مالک کل نے بنایا ہے تمہیں مختار کل، مالک کل نے بنایا ہے تمہیں مختار کل، آپ مخلوق خدا کے ہو سہارے یا حسین، بن کے سایہ لائے ہیں. گودیاں بھر دیجئے سرکار بہر فاطمہ، گودیاں بھر دیجئے سرکار بہر فاطمہ، منتظر ہے دیر سے دامن پسار یا حسین، بن کے سایہ لائے ہیں در پہ تمہارے. آپ کہا در چھوڑ کے جائیں کہاں فرمائیے آپ کہاں در چھوڑ کے جائیں کہاں فرمائیے ہے یہ قدم آپ کا مولا ہمارے یا حسین پن کے سائل لائے ہیں در پہ تم جتن ہے مومن مریض ان کو شفا تو دیجیے جتن ہے مومن مریض ان کو شفا تو دیجیے ایک اشارہ کافی ہے ان پہ ہمارا یا حسین بن کے سائل لائے ہیں در پہ تمہارے یا حسین آپ جو فرمائیں گے مقبول حق ہوگا وہی آپ ہے اللہ کے پیاروں کے پیارے یا حسین پن کے سائل لائے ہیں در پہ تمہارے یا حسین آج پورے کیجیے ارماں ہمارے یا حسین محمد و محمد صلوات
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. First of all, thank you all for giving me this opportunity, especially the management here. I have 5 minutes to talk about
30 years ago to serve the needs of the underprivileged in Tanzania. You saw Brother Asif Tijani, who's working as the head of finance for 10 years there now. He is here to share some information, and as you see after the program, you can always have a conversation with him about it. At this time, I would like to ask Syed Shabeer Kirmani to come recite tonight's lecture for us. Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, salawat.
رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وفوضوا أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير. والصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على الرسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. وقل رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. أما بعد، قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتاب الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنما يغشى الله من عباده العلماء. صدق الله العلي العظيم. زينوا مجالسكم بالصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على. My respected elders, brothers and sisters in Iman, Salamun alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Question: what is knowledge and what is its power? Keep that in the back of your mind, inshallah, we'll return to it. It is the holy blessed month of Rajab, a month which is blessed, and in numerous narrations it has been stated by Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared, as Rasulullah himself states, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has declared the blessed month of Rajab his own month. That this is the month of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Rasulullah says, Sha'ban, that month is my month. That is the month of our Holy Prophet. And he further continues and he says that the month of Ramadan is the community, the Ummah's month. When we come forward and see Rajab, we are told by Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, it is that month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited the warmongering and fighting within it. And it is such a month which the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam have told us, one who fasts for one day within this month secures safety from the hellfire. These are the blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed amongst us in this month. And why would it not be? That on the first we see the emerging of Imam Baqir salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. And on the 13th we see the emerging of Fatih Badru Hunayn, Mawla Ali ibn Abi Talib salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Sallu ala Muhammad wa sallam. Today I'm here to talk about the legacy of our beloved fifth Imam, who we are here to commemorate tonight. That in the brief moment that he was on this planet before us, the legacy that he left for us is one which is immense. and one which rings a bell for us as members of his community and members of the Isna Ashari faith till this day. I had the opportunity some years ago to visit the Hawza al-Ilmiya in Najaf and meet with some of the top scholars, the ones who are teaching in the Hawza itself. The ones right below the top level, the ones right below Sayyid Sistani, Sayyid Hakim, Shaykh Ishaq Fayyad, Hafiz Bishr Najafi, the one right below, the one who are teaching in the Hawza actively, although many of the Maraja are teaching. And we asked them, we were a group of young people from the West, many of whom were influential, many of whom were lecturing, and we asked them, what should Shia in the West be known for? And many had different answers and diverse answers. But if there was a commonality that emerged amongst all of their answers, they said the Shia of Ahlul Bayt should be known for knowledge, wherever they go. Therefore tonight I want to look at what is the legacy of the Imam alayhimus salam and how you and I can cultivate it, establish it, revive it in this world that you and I live in 2020 in the United States of America and beyond. I want to look at what is it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said in the Quran al-Majid wa Furqan al-Hamid with respect to what is the definition of a scholar. What is the history of knowledge and its relationship with the people? How did Rasulullah, how did Amir al-Mu'mineen, how did Imam Zain al-Abidin, how did Imam Baqir alayhi salam spread knowledge? And what was their means to establish knowledge? And how was the time of Imam Baqir different than the time of other A'immah? I want to then look at how the Imam alayhi salam not only established religious sciences, but secular sciences he contributed towards. I want to look at what is the state of our community globally, and how you and I must work on this issue. What is happening to our community in other parts of the world, such as India and other likes? What is our relationship to that? And how can we further this goal in order that all of us can be known as the Shia and understand and follow in the legacy and the lineage of Imam Baqir alayhi salam. I want to cover these 5 points tonight in the brief moments that we have together inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran al-Majid wa Furqan al-Hamid, the verse I recited at the beginning, إِنَّمَا يَغْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word إِنَّمَا. There are certain words, certain phrases in the Quran al-Majid wa Furqan al-Hamid that are statements of absolute nature. What do I mean? For example, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses the word lan in the Quran al-Majid, it means a particular thing. It means never. For example, when Musa alayhi salam wishes to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the response from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is lan tarani. Musa, you will never. Lan tarani meaning never. It's never going to happen in a million years. Absolutely no. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala similarly in this verse, He says innama. Innama meaning only. And only these people. Who people? Which people? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يَغْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاءِ. Only those servants of Allah which have fear of Him, which are God conscious, are the ulama, are the scholars. Subhanallah. I thought that those people who have read the most books, those people who have downloaded the most information in their brains, those people who have the most inclination towards mathematics and sciences, those are the ulama. No. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran al-Majid wa Furqan al-Hamid gives one criteria. And He says those who have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, only those are the ulama. Why is this important? If you go back to the very beginning, if you go back to the very root, you will see what is this and why is this so important. Our fourth Imam gives us a beautiful tradition. Imam Syed alayhi salam says there are 4 levels to ilm. There are 4 levels to knowledge. He says the first level, when someone gains a little bit of knowledge, they begin to gain arrogance. Isn't it true? You read 1 or 2 books here and there, you get 1 or 2 degrees here and there, and you think I'm on top of the world. You think that I know everything. In fact, someone may say even to the extent they may get a little business success here and there. They may get a little career success here and there. A little work success. A few degrees, a few books on top of the world. He says that is where arrogance begins to creep into the heart, into the mind. I begin to think that I know everything. Although I've only read a little bit. I've only learnt a little bit. This was the example of who? Shaitan. Shaitan in the very beginning, in the very essence, from the very get-go, he's doing the worship in the ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and there comes a moment in time where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to Iblis, he says, worship and prostrate down towards Adam. At that point in time, he says, I worshipped you for 6,000 years, and you created him out of clay, and I was created out of fire. And fire is greater than clay, according to him. He said, I won't do this. Arrogance crept into the heart of Shaitan. Imam alayhi salam says the second level is once someone goes high, arrogance, then they become humble. That's the second level of knowledge. The true knowledge is beginning to creep in. The true knowledge is beginning to emerge. That I begin to realize that I don't know much, I don't know anything. And the third level that Imam alayhi salam says is fana, absolute annihilation. I realize that I have no value and I have no knowledge. Because what is known to me is very little compared to what is not known. As the ancient Greek philosophers said, the Platos and the like, I know one thing, Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, I know one thing, that I know nothing. This is the epitome of knowledge. I say this because we live in a world where knowledge is extremely valued, true knowledge, wisdom, that is extremely valuable. When we look at the legacy of the Imam alayhi salam, there's a moment in time where Rasul al-Azam invites one of his companions near him. He invites his companion near him, and he says to his companion, O Shabeer, he says, there will be a moment in time that you will see the descendant of my grandson Hussein. And when you see him, you will notice that his name is like my name. And his walk is like my walk, and his talk is like my talk. Everything about him is like me. He says, when you see this descendant of mine, I will not be there. You will have the opportunity to meet him. Convey onto him my salams. This same Shabeer lived generation after generation, and to the point that he had lost his eyesight. He went to the times of Imam Hassan and Imam al-Hussein and Imam Sajjad. He lost his eyesight. And he would sit in the streets of Medina and he would go through the Masjid and he would call out, as Rasulullah had told him, that the name of this son or his grandson, this descendant, would be Baqir, the one who splits open knowledge. He would say, Ayn al-Baqir, Ayn al-Baqir. One day, this same Shabeer is in the Masjid. When this same Shabeer is in the Masjid, at that point in time we're told that he was calling out and calling out, and he was calling out up until the point that a young child emerged and proceeded towards this blind man by the name of Shabeer. And Shabeer saw and he felt the warmth of this child, he felt the presence of this child. And he said that you sound like him. He said, what is your name? He says, my name is Muhammad. He says, son of who? He says, son of Ali. He says, son of who? Son of Hussein. He says, son of who? Son of Ali. And he began to feel him. He began to put his hand on his shoulders. And he began to say and emerge. And Shabeer says, I've been waiting for this moment. You are the one that the Prophet told me about. You are the one who the Prophet told me that my grandson will emerge from the line of Hussein, and I am to convey my salutations and salams. So, O Muhammad al-Baqir, may the salutations and the salams of the Holy Prophet be upon you. This is the grandson of Rasulullah who you and I are here to commemorate. It's not a normal thing. You see, the position of this Imam was elevated for numerous reasons, but why? His relationship with knowledge. I say this because we live in a very interesting time. Knowledge, I am convinced, is our one gateway to hope, our one gateway to prosperity. I'm just returning from India. I had the opportunity to visit various communities there, in Lucknow, in Hyderabad, in Bangalore, in Mumbai, in Bhavnagar. And you see many of our communities, alhamdulillah, they have done okay. But if you find and you look at the vast majority of the Shia community, our community in particular there, many are suffering. Many don't have basic means. Many don't have food on their table. Many don't have ample clothes on their back. And sometimes in the world that you and I live in, the decisions that we make, things like what car to buy, what house to buy, what clothes to buy, when you see these environments, you begin to rethink life. I repeat many times in my lectures, 6 million children die every single year of preventable causes. Meaning what? Meaning if $200 or less was given to them, they would be able to survive. But they die. Some of our dinners, our family dinners cost much more than that. Some of our luxuries in life cost much more than that. I went to a rural village 1 hour from Lucknow, Barabanki, a district called Barabanki. Some of you may have visited. We went to a school there in a village, literally a village. These children, on the surface of it, bihamdillah, through support of people throughout the community who have tried for these causes, such as the brother you saw earlier before, and other organizations and institutions that are working, are trying, but it's still not enough, believe me. Afterwards, we had the opportunity to go to some of their houses. You wouldn't believe. You wouldn't call them homes here. We would call them huts. They didn't have proper roofage. They didn't have proper anything for that matter. Mud, bricks, handmade bricks. And all these children, many of whom all they want in life is an opportunity. Dr. Amartya Sen, who's a Nobel laureate in economics, he's dedicated his life to developmental economics. How do we eradicate poverty in the world? He's from Bengal, and he saw the famines of Bengal growing up in the 1940s. And then he came to the West in Cambridge and MIT and Harvard and Sanford and Stanford University and these top institutions. And he said, you know what the biggest loss of poverty is? Do you know what the greatest loss of poverty in our world today is? It's wasted talent. That child who's growing up in poverty in India or in Africa, in Lucknow or Hyderabad or in Dar es Salaam or Nairobi or Mombasa, that child who's growing up in abject poverty, that child may have the ability, if they have the proper resources, to become the next Einstein, to become the next intellectual. But many times that opportunity is not realized because their resources were not available to them. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam sought a model where they democratized knowledge, where everyone was able to get knowledge, regardless of background, regardless of caste, color, or creed. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam wanted to make sure that everyone has access to knowledge. We're told there's a moment in time where the Imam alayhimus salam is leaving a gathering. When he's leaving a gathering, he's with his son, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, who's younger. Imam al-Baqir has become older at this time. When they're leaving that gathering, on the way, they see a group of the Christian community. When they see a group of the Christian community, that man who is the leader, the priest of the Christian community, his eyes fall upon Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam. When his eyes fall upon Imam Baqir alayhi salam, he says, are you one of us, meaning the Christians, or are you one of the followers of Muhammad? He says, I'm one of the followers of Muhammad. He says, then very well, are you one of the scholars or not? At that point in time, the Imam alayhi salam says, I'm not one of the ignorant ones. There's two answers the ulama say to this. One is the humility of the Imam, where he's not saying, I'm the biggest alim. Remember, the first level of knowledge is when you become arrogant. The Imam saying, I'm not one of them. I'm not the arrogant ones. But at the same time, the ulama say, if you really look into the statement, the Imam saying, I'm not ignorant. Meaning what? I'm not ignorant in anything. You ask me anything, I'll give you the answer to anything. That's the level of the knowledge of the Imam. Says, so therefore, he says, the Christian man continues, shall I ask you something or will you ask me? He says, I invite you to ask me, Imam Baqir says. He says, very well. And then he begins to ask his questions with respect to the Imam. He says, what is that moment in time, in the day? What is that moment, which is neither night nor day? He says, what's the answer to that question? He says, Imam alayhi salam says, that is the time between dawn and sunrise. Between Fajr and sunrise. That period of time, the Imam says, that is neither day nor night. And this is the time where the ailing person gets peace and tranquility. And the person who is hurting, he gets shafa'ah. The one who is sick gets shafa'ah in this time. And he says, the one who has not been able to sleep all night, they are granted sleep in this night and they get the best sleep in this time. At that time the man says, very well. He continues. He asks his second question. He says, then very well, my second question. He says, do I have the permission to ask? He says, ask away. The Imam alayhi salam says, what is it? He says, my second question is, how is it that you say in the hereafter, in your Jannah, people will eat and eat and eat, yet there will be no excrement. They will not have to relieve themselves. What is the reason for this? How is this possible? What's the example of this? Imam alayhi salam says, it's like the child in the womb of the mother. It eats and eats and eats, yet there is no excrement from the child. There is no relieving of the child. It's the same way. The man became satisfied with the question. He says his third question. He says, my third question, final question to you. He says, how is it that you claim that in Jannah, in paradise, your paradise, that food will be abundantly available to people? They'll have the opportunity to eat and eat and eat. Yet there will be no reduction in the amount of food available. How is it possible? The Imam alayhi salam says, it is like the example of the candle that is lit and begins to light 100 other candles. That initial candle lights 100 candles, whereas that initial candle does not reduce itself by giving light to the others. It's the same way. Food will be in abundance in the same way. By the way, this is also the example of knowledge. The knowledge of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam and the knowledge of the sciences are such that move our society forward. I'll give you an example. Economists, when they were looking at how do certain societies develop further than others, they were creating mathematical models. And in their mathematical models, they put certain variables. They would put, for example, production, consumption, investment, growth. And yet when they put all these variables into the equation, they said, yet still certain countries are more developed than others. They said the United States, and for example, India and China, all of these countries in terms of production, in terms of growth, in terms of investment, they're very far along. This equation doesn't do justice. It wasn't until one economist came forward and said, there's one variable, there's one piece of the equation that's missing that changes the dynamics of everything. He added one variable to the equation. He said, I. He said, what's I? He said, this I represents ideas. Ideas are what change society and push society forward. The United States has been producing ideas and implementing those ideas for decades now, and that is what has given its traction. The same with UK and other modern Western industrial economies. Ideas have tremendous value. These ideas emerge through knowledge. I say this why? Because sometimes in our communities people come forward and say, knowledge is it's only religious knowledge, Islamic knowledge. This is not a complete equation. Why? Knowledge in our school of thought began from Nabi Adam alayhi salam and continued through. But when we come to the time of Rasulullah himself, what did he used to do? Rasulullah, whenever there was a battle, the Muslims conquered, and if they took prisoners of war, which was common at the time and still is common, when you take people from the other side after a war, Rasulullah, and remember this for any of our youth or any others who are in the workplace or in university who say Rasulullah was a warmonger, I'm telling you the answer. Do you know what Rasulullah would free people on? If someone was captured from the other side, from the Roman Empire or some other army, Rasulullah said, you are captive right now, but I'm telling you how you can become free. Rasulullah would say, teach 10 of our people knowledge and you will go free. I asked the question, was that person teaching fiqh? Was that person teaching aqaid? Was that person who's not a Muslim, were they teaching Islamic laws? Were they teaching Islamic principles of Tawheed, Adala, Nabuwa, Imama, Qiyamah? No, that person didn't have these beliefs. So what were they teaching? They were teaching secular knowledge, secular sciences, how to read, how to write, how to do mathematics, how to do various different crafts. Rasulullah didn't differentiate. Rasulullah didn't say, if you teach fiqh, if you teach aqaid, then you will go free. That is the first principle within Islam, that knowledge is not either Islamic or otherwise. Remember, knowledge is either qurbatan ilallah or not. It either takes you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or not. Why? Because there came a time in the history of Islam, during the time of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, a very difficult time. Which very difficult time? The very difficult time was during the time of the Khalifa Marwan, Abdul Malik al-Marwan. What happened? At that time, the coin trade was dominated and monopolized by the Romans. Mints, coins were created by the Romans. And what happened was, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan, he wanted to know, what are these things that are written on the coins? They were not in Arabic. He says, I want them translated. So when he went to Egypt, he said, I want you to translate for me. What does it say here? And he found that it said, in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. He said, wow. He said, we in the Islamic Empire are using these mottos and we don't even know what it means, and it is something that is holy to other faiths. He said, we must do something. We must change the dynamics. What do we do? So then, when this came about, he said, I want all of this stopped, but there was a problem. They didn't know how to mint coins in the Muslim world, So the Emperor of Rome found out about this. So he sent a messenger with some gifts to try to appease Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. When he came, he brought the gifts. Abdul Malik said, he sent him back. Afterwards, the Roman Empire, the emperor, found this man. He said, go back, double the gift, go back and send the message again. When he went back the second time, Abdul Malik sent him back again. Third time, again he sent him back. At that point in time, the emperor sent back a letter. He said, 3 times I've sent my messenger, my convoy, and 3 times you have rejected my gift. He said, you have left me only one option. Either you are saying that the previous people before you were wrong and you are right, or you are saying that you are right and the people before you are wrong. Which one is it? At that point in time, he was speechless. He didn't have an answer. He said, the Roman emperor continued. He said, either you accept what I'm telling you, or I will begin to state derogatory statements about your prophet in these coins. At that point in time, he had no response. He had nothing to say. He called his court, he called his advisors, he called his wazirs. He said, what do I do? They all said, we have no answer. The only person who has an answer is the door of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. He said, call Muhammad al-Baqir. He was in Damascus, in Damashq, in Syria. At that point they called and they summoned Imam Baqir. When they summoned Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, Imam al-Baqir said, what's the problem? What's the issue? He says, number one, this person can never dishonor and disrespect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is witness. So what's the big deal? Allah will not allow this to happen, number one. Number two, the Imam alayhi salam said, I will tell you how to mint coins, how to create coins. He says, I want you to write on one side Surah Al-Tawheed, Surah Al-Ikhlas, Qul Huwallahu Ahad, on one side. And on the other side, I want you to recite, I want you to write the name of the Holy Prophet. And I want you to write on each coin the name of the city in which it is made and the year in which it was created. And he explained to them how the process of minting a coin emerges. They were baffled. They were spellbound. They didn't know what to do. I say this because our Maraja, our scholars, Syed Sistani and many of our other scholars have highly recommended our next generation and our current generations and our communities to become highly educated and become the top in each of the sciences at the top. Why? You know, we're suffering from a virus that's taking over the world right now. I don't know how many death tolls we have, over 2,000, even in our holy cities. In Qom, Najaf reported first case in Najaf. This is spreading throughout the globe. But why is it that Muslims maybe are on the tail end of this? Why is it not that our researchers are at the forefront of finding a solution to this problem? If they are, alhamdulillah. If they are not, why not? You know, I was very alarmed by the statistics in the country I just visited. This was a society where historically, if you look at the history of, for example, India, many of you whose history goes back to India, you will know the history. There was a time in our history, not too long ago, maybe 100 years ago, maybe 150 years ago, where knowledge, ilm, in the sciences, especially in the Islamic sciences, would go from India towards Najaf. Believe me, from Lucknow, from Hyderabad. Not only knowledge, Shahriya. That is, the endowment or the stipend for the students would go. Now the dynamics have shifted completely. Why? We come from a brilliant heritage, but sometimes we don't know why. I'll tell you exactly why. Karen Armstrong, a writer on numerous religions, who I mentioned numerously in my lectures, she's written on Judaism, Christianity, Islam in particular, and other major faiths. She's consistently asked, when will Islam go back to its golden age, its golden era, where mathematics, where sciences, where all of these things were emerging? When will it go back? She says it will not happen, quote, her words, not mine. It will not happen until you send your best minds to mullah school. Your best minds to become ulama, basically. What happened? In the last 100 years, if you look at the example of the Indian subcontinent, in particular, we did not send our greatest minds to Hausa. And we are reaping, unfortunately, the challenges that are emerging from that. If you look at, for example, the Al-Hakim family, Ayatollah Mohsin Al-Hakim, which emerged from that family, and many of the scholars which emerged from that family, I don't know if you know their history. That name Al-Hakim, do you know where it comes from? This whole family were the physicians, they were the doctors for the Safavid Empire, 500, 400 years ago. A ruler of the Safavid Empire, or for any empire for that matter, who is he going to keep as his physician? He's most probably going to keep the brightest mind as his physician. Why? Because he doesn't want him to mess up. He doesn't want him to make a mistake. He wants him to be the best of the best. These people, they blessed the sciences and the Hausa by becoming scholars. We are facing a challenge. Why am I emphasizing knowledge? We are facing a challenge in an environment where we are encouraging our next generation to become highly educated, to become highly intellectual, to become doctors, lawyers, engineers, which is beautiful on one front. But at the same time, the caliber of their questions is rising, and they're looking for the religious dialogue to keep up. And this gap is emerging, and this gap is becoming bigger. We need people, some of our best and brightest minds, to come forward and fill that gap. Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam's legacy was establishing this Hawza al-Ilmiya. It started very first in Medina, and it started in Mecca in fact. The first Hawza, one may argue, was Rasulullah teaching Amir al-Mu'mineen, where Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen himself says that Rasulullah opened in my mind and my heart 1,000 chapters, 1,000 bab, 1,000 doors, 1,000 gates of knowledge. And from each gate of knowledge, 1,000 further gates emerged. And my heart became illuminated through Rasulullah. As we progressed through the time of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, knowledge they kept within their hearts and shared with their close companions. But when we got to the time of Imam Sajjad alayhi salam, after the tragedy of Karbala, the Imam alayhi salam had certain things that he had to accomplish. Certain things he had to do. What? He had to first establish his imamah, because Muhammad Hanafiya, his uncle, had also said that he's an imam. So people were confused. He had to establish his imamah without, number two, without dividing the Shia community. Like scattered beads on the ground, he had to bring everyone together without dividing them. And number three, he had to spread the knowledge and the teachings of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam in such a way, although there was oppression, although there was zulm, he had to do it in a way that people understood the teachings. Therefore he used dua, Sahifa Sajjadiyah, to convey the teachings of Islam without dividing the community, without being a nuisance to the rulers in their mind. I'm using the words of the rulers, without stepping on their toes, quote unquote. And he did this. But the Imam Baqir's alayhi salam's time was the first time where there was some relative freedom. There was some openness, and the Imam used it to spread sciences, mathematics, physics, chemistry, Islamic sciences. In fact, to the extent that the Imam alayhi salam, we have in traditions, taught poets poetry with his own skills. The Imams were not only well versed in religious sciences, in secular science as well. What example? Hisham, the ruler, receives news that Imam Baqir, in one of his gatherings, he says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed the Ahlul Bayt and the lineage of Rasulullah with the utmost level. Hisham received news of this, and Hisham said, I don't accept this. He says, call Muhammad al-Baqir to the court. Muhammad al-Baqir, he called the Imam and Imam al-Sadiq, who was young at the time, to the court. When he called them to the court, Imam al-Baqir was older at this time. He had become an old man at this time. When he had become older at this time, Hisham said, there's some archery going on. For those of you who have ever played golf or played golf, pay attention here. He said, there's some archery going on. Oh Imam, or he says, Yabna Rasulullah, I insist that you participate in this. Imam said, I've gotten older. Archery may not be my thing. Although, as you know, in Islam, it's highly recommended. It's mustahab to teach your children archery, horse riding and swimming, according to Rasulullah. And the Imam alayhi salam saw this and he was trying to divert the issue. Hisham said, no, I insist. He thought he's an old man, he won't be able to do anything. The Imam alayhi salam said, very well, if you insist, then I will oblige. The Imam alayhi salam, he took the arrow, the bow and the arrow, and he let go at that moment of the arrow, and it pierced the bullseye directly in the middle. Hisham was a bit baffled, an older, elderly man. You see, there's a technique, an art and a science to this skill. But the Imam is getting at something further. Hisham is thinking in his mind, beginner's luck. The Imam at that point in time says, very well, enough. He says, no. Hisham says, again, because the people are looking. And he says, the Imam has struck it directly. The descendant of Rasul has struck directly to the bullseye. He says, another one. The Imam takes another arrow. Elderly man at this time, the Imam is. Bawahir, apparently. He lets go of the other arrow. The tradition says it pierces the arrow. The same way the first arrow hit, it slices the first arrow and splits it in two and hits on the bullseye. Hisham is baffled. Elderly man, how is it possible? There's a tremendous skill to archery. The stability of the hand, the vision, the calculation. People who are archers, people who are even snipers, they are taught the wind calculation, the degree angle of measurement. There's a whole science to this. He says another one, Hisham says. Third one the Imam takes. He aims, lets go, pierces the first two right on the bullseye once again. The tradition says 9 arrows the Imam pierced one after the other towards the bullseye. Hisham was baffled, speechless. He said, where did you learn this skill that I cannot even do and none of my courtmen can do? The Imam at that point in time looked and said, that it's just I watched the children of Medina at a young age and I saw the people archering and I began doing one of these things. And I began joining them. He was being extremely humble. But the Imam pressed on and he pushed him. He said, no. There's many other people. What is it? He said, Hisham, you don't understand. We are divinely appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are from the line of Rasulullah. This is an appointment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not within my choice or yours. Allah has taught us the sciences of this world and the next. And it is in your interest to follow us. But the world did not follow. I say this because knowledge is the greatest of powers, as I conclude. My dear brothers and sisters, the message that I want to give each and every one of us today is, there are many youth across the globe, in India, in Africa, even in our own communities. One education, one degree, one book, one reading, one insight can change their lives. Think about that for a moment. When I was in India just recently, just last week, they told me the cost of medical college. There are so many youth in our community who have the ability, intellectually, the capability of being able to study medicine. They have the grades, they have everything. The only thing that's holding them back is finance, is resources. Do you know how much it costs? 8,000, meager 8,000, 9,000 at the most per year to educate one child in medicine. What is that for some of us? For some of us, it's barely hardly anything. 1, 2 people chip in, they fill the whole void. In a whole 5 years, that's $40,000 roughly. Maybe 45. But that changes not one life, that changes a family. Not one family, that changes families. In these same remote villages that I went to, you know, I'll share a story with you that broke my heart. It wasn't always the case, In Hyderabad, there used to be a ruling dynasty that were from our faith, from our community, not very long ago, the Nizams, and before them as well. I was told recently that when the governor or the statesman, the minister of the locality of this particular region in south of India, he said, I want to see what is the most impoverished location in the entire city. By the way, there's a tremendous economic discrepancy. The rich are extremely rich. The poor are extremely poor. Even in our communities, believe me. This is the honest truth that I'm conveying to you, not on any. This is one story from hundreds. The minister said, I want to see what is the most impoverished community in the entire city. They said, that's easy. We'll take you to one slum. That slum, my dear brothers and sisters, is a vast majority, in fact, all Shia slum in the city. Of all the students in university, 0.3% are from our community. That is much lower than the percentage of our community in the general population. What happened? Why is this? Knowledge, ilm. Convey it, understand its importance. Consider going there. Consider seeing for yourself, either in India or Africa or other places that you know of, or maybe in your own backyard. But don't ever forget the power of knowledge. We as followers of Ahlul Bayt, especially according to Sayyid Sistani and our Maraji, in terms of knowledge, should be at the forefront in every domain. Yet many of us, in some of these environments, are at the back burner. If you have the opportunity to forego maybe one luxury that Allah has allowed you to have, and help change one life, consider changing that one life. Because you don't know who may do dua for you after you're gone from this world. Who may pray for you after you're gone from this world. This is the legacy of Imam Baqir alayhimus salam. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam would say, and I'm concluding here, the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam would say that one who is an orphan according to Ahlul Bayt is not the one who does not have a father and mother. No. The orphan is that one in Islam, according to Ahlul Bayt, who does not have knowledge. Because that is the greatest of orphanages. That is the greatest of being an orphan, the greatest level. Did you know, to the extent that our ulama in the past, in India especially, I'm using this example because it's fresh in my mind, and many of us originate from that part of the world. He said in many of our scholars, the big scholars, they would go to remote villages in the time of Muharram and Safar, in the middle of nowhere. Why? They would say that these are the orphans, these are Aitam Ali Muhammad. These people in the villages are the orphans of Ali Muhammad. Why? Because they don't have knowledge, access to knowledge. That's how much importance the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam put on knowledge. We have great responsibilities, Build the businesses, build the companies, build the enterprises. But remember, if we are not getting up as a community altogether, what's the point? What's the point of being the richest man in the graveyard? Of being the richest man in the cemetery? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a principle. And that principle is, the more that you give, the more you get in life. I tell you, and I share this as a conclusion, I met a brother who changed my life on this trip. He said he was from our community, in Bhavnagar. I don't know if any of you have ever been this. There's two major cities in Gujarat, Ahmedabad and Bhavnagar, if any of you are aware. In Bhavnagar, I met a brother from our community who said many years ago, his child had become stricken with a disease of the brain. He needed major surgery, operation. He needed operation on his brain. 13 operations he had. He said, I spent 6 months in the hospital. 6 months in the hospital. And he said that I did not leave the side of my son who was having this surgery. Imagine someone who has work, has a business. He has to run his work, he has to run his business, and he has to look after their child 24/7. How does one do it? He says, Syed, I was at my lowest point. My business had gone down. My family life, I was exhausted. I was at point zero. I was at the most lowest point of my life. But I said, I'm not going to give up on my son, He said, when this happened, I used to take a break once a day on the terrace. I would leave the hospital room where my son was, and I would go out towards the terrace. He said, when I would go out towards the terrace, at that point in time, I would just take a break and I would just take some air in. He said, one day a man came to me while I'm taking my air break on the terrace, and he said, Syed, this person is someone, if someone saw them on the street, they would not approach them. They looked in the most difficult situation. He looked like the most impoverished person one could ever see. He said, the man approached me, and he said, I overheard the two sisters downstairs in the hospital speaking about your son. And they said that your son's in a very difficult situation. He's gone through 13 surgeries, and you're here supporting him day and night. He said, yes. He said, I'm a poor man. I'm a laborer by work. The man who had emerged and approached this brother. He said, I'm a poor man. I don't have much. I'm a laborer. And my wife is also cleans houses. We have children, but our children have removed us from their homes. We have 3 children. None of them will look after us. He said, she cleans houses, I do manual labor in the days. These were elderly people. And at that point he said that he removed a small bag from his waist. And when he removed this bag from his waist, he handed it to this brother. When he handed it to the brother, he said, this is my life savings and my wife's life savings. We have nothing except this. This is 35,000 rupees that we've saved our whole life. But I heard what your son is going through and I heard what you're going through, and I'm giving this to you. And he said, I began to cry. And he said, at that point in time, he said, I just went and I told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this man who has nothing in terms of this world gave everything to me. He says, Ya Allah, for every 100 rupees that I earn till this day, until the end of my life, 50 I will use on myself for my needs, and 50 I will use for anyone who is in need. He said, Sayyid, that day that I made the promise, until now, Allah has given me so much I cannot tell you. Allah has a principle. When you commit to give, Allah will make sure that He gets it to you. We in this part of the world, we have access to tremendous resources that other people don't. We still have some level of social mobility. Other people don't. Think about that for a moment. You can change one person's life for just a few $100s. Don't give it to me, You find your own reliable person on that part of the world. Or even in your own backyard. And see how you can get them nothing else except knowledge. Because that's what the Ahlul Bayt strive to make sure that their followers not only got for themselves, but gave to the world. It is the commemoration of Imam Baqir alayhi salam. And the poet says, my favorite poem In honor of the Ahlul Bayt, لٹ کے آباد ہے اب تک جو وہ گھر کس کا ہے, سب سے اونچا ہے جو کٹ کر بھی وہ سر کس کا ہے. ظلم شبیر کی ہیبت سے نہ لرزے کیوں کر, کس نبی کا ہے نواسا یہ پسر کس کا ہے. کس نبی کا ہے نواسا یہ پسر کس کا ہے. اور کس کے ہجرت کے تسلسل سے شریعت ہے رواں, قافلہ آج تلک شہر بدر کس کا ہے. اور کس نے مقتل کی زمین چھو کے معلّہ کر دی, پوچھنا کرب و بلا سے یہ ہنر کس کا ہے. کس نے مقتل کی زمین چھو کے معلّہ کر دی, پوچھنا کرب و بلا سے یہ ہنر کس کا ہے. اور تخت والوں نے مورخ بھی خریدے ہوں گے, تخت والوں نے, the rulers, تخت والوں نے مورخ, historians, تخت والوں نے مورخ بھی خریدے ہوں گے. ذکر دنیا میں مگر شام و سحر کس کا ہے, ذکر دنیا میں مگر شام و سحر کس کا ہے. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless each and every one of us who are gathered here in honor of Imam al-Baqir alayhi salam, to allow us to expand in our knowledge, in our wisdom, to allow us to have barakah in our businesses, in our careers, in our lives, and in our knowledge, and allow us to help our community, to help our society, to help give as much as possible in the name of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And Ya Allah, allow our next generation to be better Muslims than us, to have more insight into Islam than us, to be stronger than us in their faith. And Ya Allah, hasten the appearance of Imam Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, and allow us to be amongst his companions when he returns. Wa akhir da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Sallu ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad.
ہم حسین والے ہیں, سب مل کے پڑھے. ہم حسین والے ہیں, ہم حسین والے, یہ ہماری قسمت ہے, ہم حسین والے ہیں. یہ ہماری قسمت ہے, ہم حسین والے ہیں, ہم حسین والے ہیں, ہم حسین. ہم نبی کے عاشق ہیں, ہم علی کے دیوانے. ہم نبی کے عاشق ہیں, ہم علی کے دیوانے. اور حسن سے نسبت ہے, ہم حسین والے ہیں, ہم حسین والے ہیں, ہم. ہاں ہم سے فاطمہ زہرا کر چکی ہے ایک وعدہ. ہم سے فاطمہ زہرا کر چکی ہے ایک وعدہ. اب ہماری جنت ہے, ہم حسین والے ہیں, ہم حسین والے ہیں. ہاں یا علی کی مدحت ہے, یا حسین کا ماتم. یا علی کی مدحت ہے, یا حسین کا ماتم. ہر نفس عبادت ہے, ہم حسین والے ہیں، ہم حسین والے ہیں، ہم طوری تک گئے موسیٰ اور کربلا تک ہم، طوری تک گئے موسیٰ اور کربلا تک ہم، یہ ہماری رفعت ہے، ہم حسین والے ہیں، ہم حسین والے ہیں، ہم حسین والے محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
صلی اللہ علیہ ابا عبداللہ، السلام علیکم رسول اللہ، السلام علیکم ابن امیر المومنین وابن سید الوسیین، السلام علیکم ابن فاطمۃ الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین، السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام علیکم مولا ابن مولا، السلام علیکم غریب الغرباء، السلام علیکم سلطان ابو الحسن علی ابن موسیٰ الرضا ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. السلام علیکم صاحب الزمان، السلام علیکم خلیفۃ الرحمن، السلام علیکم شریک القرآن، السلام علیکم کعبۃ الایمان، السلام علیکم یا اہل بیت النبوہ جمیعاً ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.